Hey everyone, welcome to this week's second video lecture. In this video lecture, we'll be looking at wind and what causes wind. This will be the last subject that we talk about this chapter before our big unit test. So some of the vocab words we'll be looking at in this chapter are wind, anemometer, wind chill factor, local winds, sea breeze, land breeze, global winds, Coriolis effect, and latitude. All right, let's get started. So what causes wind? Air is a fluid, so it can move easily from place to place. But how does it do that? Differences in air pressure cause the air to move. Wind is the movement of air parallel to Earth's surface. Winds move from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. Most differences in air pressure are caused by unequal heating of the atmosphere. Recall that convection currents form when an area of Earth's surface is heated by the sun's rays. Air over the heated surface expands and becomes less dense. As the air becomes less dense, its air pressure decreases. If a nearby area is not heated as much, the air above the less heated area will be cooler and denser. The cool, dense air with a higher pressure flows underneath the warm, less dense air. This forces the warm air to rise. Alright, so now that we know that wind is just high pressure air moving to an area of low pressure, let's talk about how the wind is measured. So winds are described by their direction and speed. Winds can blow from all directions, north, south, east, and west. Wind direction is determined with a wind vane. The wind swings the wind vane so that one end points into the wind. The name of the wind tells you where the wind is coming from. For example, a south wind blows from the south towards the north. A north wind blows to the south. Wind speed can be measured by an anemometer. An anemometer has 3 or 4 cups mounted at the ends of spokes that spin on an axle. The force of the wind against the cups turns the axle. A meter connected to the axle shows the wind speed. Figure 2 shows a wind vane and an anemometer together. So we've seen the anemometer when I showed that video in class of the meteorologist on the top of Mount Washington. And in that video, they had to every so often, especially during big storms, they had to go to the top of the building and knock ice off of the anemometer. All right, so on this page, we're going to take a look at the difference between a local wind and a global wind. So have you ever noticed that a breeze at the beach on a hot summer day? Even if there's no wind inland, there may be a cool breeze blowing in from the water. This breeze is an example of a local wind. A wind that blows over a short distance are called local winds. The unequal heating of Earth's surface within a small area causes a local wind. These winds form only when large-scale winds are weak. 2 types of local winds are sea breezes and land breezes, as shown in Figure 3. So let's go down and take a look at Figure 3. Let's look at sea breeze first. So during the day, the land warms up faster than the water. The air over the land gets warmer than the air over the water. The warm air over the land is less dense. It expands and rises, creating a low-pressure area above the beach or around the beach. Cool air blows inland from over the water and moves underneath the warm air, causing a sea breeze. A sea breeze or a lake breeze is a local wind that blows from an ocean or a lake. So land breeze is the opposite. So at night, the process is reversed. The flow of air from land to a body of water forms a land breeze. So if we look at the picture underneath this bottom picture, so the land is going to cool off faster at night, and the water is going to retain some heat from the day. So heat is going to rise above the water or over the water, and the colder, denser air is going to move out over sea, creating that land breeze. All right, next we're going to talk about global winds. So global winds are winds that blow steadily from specific directions over long distances. Like local winds, global winds are created by unequal heating of Earth's surface. But unlike local winds, global winds occur over a large area. In Figure 4, you can see how the sun's radiation strikes Earth. In the middle of the day near the equator, the sun is the most directly overhead. The direct rays from the sun heat Earth's surface intensely. Near the poles, the sun's rays strike the Earth's surface at a lower angle. The sun's energy is spread out over a larger area, so it heats the surface less. As a result, temperatures near the poles are much lower than they are near the equator, and we talked about that in depth at the beginning of the year when we talked about the seasons. So how do these global winds develop. Temperature differences between the equator and the poles produce giant convection currents in the atmosphere. Warm air rises at the equator and cold air sinks at the poles. Therefore, air pressures tend to be lower near the equator and greater near the poles. This difference in pressure causes winds at Earth's surface to blow from the poles towards the equator. Higher in the atmosphere, however, air flows away from the equator towards the poles. Those air movements produce global winds. All right, next let's talk about how the Earth's rotation affects wind. So if Earth did not rotate, global winds would blow in a straight line from the poles towards the equator. Because Earth is rotating, however, global winds do not follow a straight path. As winds blow, Earth rotates from west to east underneath them, making it seem as if the winds have curved. The way Earth's rotation makes winds curve is called the Coriolis effect. Because of the Coriolis effect, global winds in the northern hemisphere gradually turn to the right. A wind blowing towards the south gradually turns towards the southwest. In the southern hemisphere, winds curve towards the left. All right, so let's take a look at the illustration below. So first, let's look at the left globe, and let's see what the global winds would, what direction they would blow in without a Coriolis effect. So the Earth is not rotating in this example, and we're going to shade in the correct arrows. So if there was no Coriolis effect, winds would just blow from north to south in a straight line. So let's shade in the straight line here. And then we're going to do the same for the southern hemisphere. All right, so let's do the same for the right globe, but this time we're going to factor in the Coriolis effect. So I'm going to draw a line on the direction that the Earth rotates. So remember, if a wind from the North Pole blows south towards the equator, it is going to turn to the right. So that means that the leftmost arrow, the one that's curving to the right, that is the direction the wind is going to blow. In the southern hemisphere, that's reversed. A wind from the South Pole that is blowing towards the equator is going to turn towards the left. So we would once again shade the leftmost arrow. All right, that's going to do it for this week's second and final video lecture. After this, you'll have a few more assignments to do, so stay posted for those. As always, if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. But other than that, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in class.